Yes, sir, absolutely. I better do the same thing. Oh, mine is good. Keep it out there. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Buckner,
Here.
Reverend Campbell, Mayor Gilstrap,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Here.
Dr. Miller, Mr. Saunders,
Here.
Mr. Shanks, Mr. Vogler,
Here.
Mr. Whittle.
Please stand as Councilman Sherman M. Saunders leads us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Shall we pray? God, we come this evening to give thanks for your continuous blessings. Please bless our nation, our world, your children everywhere. We ask for your guidance as we try to make the right decision for the citizens of our city. There are many needs as well as concerns for safety, employment, health, education, finances, family stability, and peace. We ask that your love transcend everything we do. By doing so, our city and everyone in it will be just fine. These blessings we ask in your name and for your sake. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Communications from visitors. My mic on? I can't hear it. I'm assuming it is. Move it up. It's a nice tie clip. Citizens who desire to speak on matters not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Citizens who desire to speak on agenda items will be heard when the agenda item is considered. Anyone wishing to speak on items not on the agenda, please come forward, state your name and reason for being here.
Okay. My name is Wayne Allen. I think many of you know that I'm the owner and operator of the historic North Theater here in Danville. And I've come to talk to you all with a group of supporters here about turning the area around the theater into a theater and arts district. If my supporters would mind standing, all of you that are here for us, appreciate it. I would have had more, but I've been working around the clock to try to put this proposal together for you all. What I wanted to tell you is that I come tonight wanting you to officially designate the area around the historic North Theater as the Danville Theater and Arts District. The triangle area around the theater is a very walkable and interesting area. It would be a wonderful area to turn into a theater and arts district. And you know, theater and art districts are considered very progressive, very hip, excuse me. Having a theater and arts district will also provide another great destination in Danville for not only the citizens, but out-of-town tourists. It will be another drawing card also, and a tool for economic development to attract companies to Danville. You know, corporate executives want arts, culture, and entertainment not only for themselves and their families, but also for their employees. And the new district will also create new jobs and become another anchor for attracting a whole different type of industry, the arts. And in the long term, it will be a source of city tax revenue. You know, my business plan for the theater has always been to not only serve the people of Danville, but also to bring in tourists, especially bus groups. I brought my first one, Holiday Tours, about a year ago, and they're the second largest bus company in North Carolina. This is primarily for matinees. They come and they go to the different attractions, have lunch, and then go back to town. Or if they're a group that's further than a couple hours away, then they're going to come and they're going to spend the night in Danville. And of course, that's additional revenue being spent here in Danville. Interestingly enough, buses that are maybe coming from Atlanta on their way to Washington, D.C. could possibly stop here as a stopover. So the potential is very large. And believe it or not, that there are 7 million people within a 2-hour radius of Danville. You go to a 5-hour radius, that includes Washington, D.C., the fringes of Georgia, you're talking 29 million people. Now also, Virginia State Tourism says that $1 spent on tourism gets a return of $7. So the money is wonderful. So I would like you to do 4 things, to please partner with us to do 4 things. Help me bring more name talent to the theater, and since the Carrington Pavilion only operates during the summer, have them work with me and co-produce shows to bring to the historic North other times of the year. There's a new theater in the Harvester Center in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, that has done this, and it's become a tremendous draw for that small town. Number 2, designate the area around the theater as the Danville Theater and Arts District, and help me revitalize that area. This would also include giving us access to the same benefits of the River District and the Main Street program. In addition, I understand that there are also benefits available from the state for designated arts districts. Number 3, help me buy and renovate a number of buildings in the area. First, the Allied building. I've already had it looked at. I had an offer on it to use the second floor as an arts mall. I've talked to a number of artists, dozens and dozens. I'll give you a copy when I hand out some information to you, of artists that have expressed interest of having a small little booth inside of an arts mall. And there are all the other smaller buildings that I would be interested in doing the same. And number 4, help us assist in promoting and marketing not only the theater, the Danville Theater and Arts District, and other area attractions in Danville in general to really promote tourism. And then since I have opened the theater, reopened it, I guess, just over 4 years ago, the area is starting to grow naturally in itself. Since that time, just 2 years ago, after my opening, then we had the Moon River Thai restaurant that opened in my complex. Then right across the street, the dance space. Then we also came to the point of where then 616 restaurant opened. I have now a new celebrity bed and breakfast. It's the only bed and breakfast in town. So we've done a lot of that. So, and there's also 2 new businesses, another culinary arts. In fact, you know, that area has already, I would say, established itself with those 2 great restaurants as a culinary arts destination. And then we're having a new culinary arts business opening across from the theater, and also a business that'll be a ceramic shop with the people living upstairs. So I don't want to take any more of your time, but I just want to tell you I'm available to talk to you all. I'm going to give you some details of different things here. But I know this all sounds very ambitious, but I want you to know that I always believe in thinking big. Face it, a guy from Maryland who had never heard of Danville and would buy the theater thinks big. But I also... Yes.
I want to thank you, Mr. Allen. It's been great. I think we may have some questions for you if you could stay. And I'll start with Mr. Councilman Vogel.
Wayne, I want to thank you for coming and speaking tonight, and I think we're somewhat on the same wavelength. A number of us on City Council were actually at the VML conference this past weekend in Virginia Beach. I actually still have the handout in my binder here for what they call a creative district, which incorporates a number of the things from an arts and entertainment district. And I'd written notes on there, and I could go and show you. I like to refer to the area as Neapolis. I think that's what it is and has been. But I think certainly there's a number of us on council who are willing to have a discussion and actually maybe even this weekend, beginning with our retreat, about ways that we can rebrand the district and market the district. I actually met with Steve Del Giorno yesterday, and we talked about a number of these things. There's a lot of potential there, and I think that area has its own unique brand and identity that is separate from the River District, and that's a good thing. But I think in terms of incentives and all that, we can look at that area and maybe do some of the things that we were able to have success with in the River District. But I think one of the cool things I always liked when I lived in Richmond is that no matter what part of the city you were in, it had its own unique identity and culture and brand. And I think that we have the potential to do that here in Danville with the Neapolis Creative District or whatever title it ends up coming up to be, I think, in other areas of the city as well. But it's certainly an important district that, as you've mentioned, has organically grown on its own in the last few years. So if we're able to kind of help market and push that and promote that more. I'm trying to think. So is this something then that you're asking in terms of funding or a combination or
Combination of all the above, private, public investments, small really. The initial things, and I'll give you a whole detailed thing, each one of you. Initially, for probably under $20,000 to give the place a spruce up, to give it what I call a curb appeal look to it. You know, to paint the facades and just, you know, plant some flowers and put some murals on the walls, and those types of things will make it immediately just, look much better. Let me just address the one thing about Neapolis too, and I know that was the name of it before it was annexed to here 100 years ago. My feeling about doing that is that it's not a smart marketing move, and it can be a subtitle. But the reason that people know what a theater and arts district is, it's very clear to promote it as a tourism thing. I also came from Annapolis, Maryland, which is the state of Maryland, the home of the Naval Academy, and the sailing capital of the world. And I can tell you for years, people would say, where are you from? And I'd say, Annapolis. Indianapolis, Canapolis, it's a bit of a confusing word. So my thought would be, for promotional purposes, keep it sweet and go with the theater and arts district. Any other questions?
Dr. Miller was next. Councilman Miller.
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight, and I understand you've even talked to some artists you're trying to lure artists, sculptors, a group of people, and they did that in Virginia Beach very well. They even had live work-in provisions where they could work out of their home or their apartment or wherever and start a business, and they got tax exemptions from the city to promote their arts district, and it's been very successful. And as Mr. Vogler said, several of us were really excited about this, what we saw at Virginia Beach. And I think it would just be just dovetail right in with our river district if we could have an arts district here. And I can imagine our trolley, when we get it, could stop at the river district, start at the arts district, just go around different places. So I think this is just an outstanding idea. And hopefully, Mr. Mayor, we can discuss this at a work session soon.
At the retreat.
At the retreat as well, yes.
Mm-hmm. But yes,
That'd be great.
We will. Councilman Campbell.
Yes, thank you so much for what you're doing.
You're welcome.
Can you enlighten me? I know at one time we was trying to make North Danville part of the historical district. That was not approved, or was it?
You mean the River District?
Yes.
It was decided that wasn't part of the River District. The boundary was cut off really at
the river.
Riverside. Yeah. So.
Okay, so what he's asking for, is there a special certification, or just council can make a decision and declare that it is?
It's already part of the tourism district, so it's got that going for it. That was something council enacted several months ago. If I understand correctly on this arts district thing, that's something that could be established by council as well at a later date after having thoroughly reviewed it, probably talk to the area of folks who are out there, business owners and others, and get feedback from them, but that's generally the process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Jones.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. It is amazing and astounding to see you here tonight speaking on behalf of the North Main, North Danville area. A lot of times people in our community say, what's happening in Danville? And they focus on the negative. I just want to personally thank you
for bringing some positive message here tonight. This gives our city hope. And for everything that people read or might see on Facebook or Twitter, you're here tonight saying, you know what, there's hope in our community, there's hope for North Main Street, and we want to be a part of it. I just want to know I support you, and I just want to thank you for bringing about a positive message tonight. Thank you so much,
Well, you're
Mr.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And may I just say, too, that for you all, having come from Maryland and from a town that's a pretty hip town, Annapolis, I have seen amazing things that you all have done in the last, you all and all the citizens here have done in the last 5 years. I mean, you all really are on a roll. It was one reason, I suspected it was the case. It was one reason I made the deal to buy the place. But you all are proving that. And so thank you all for doing everything that each one of you have done too.
Just to follow to what he said, a few years ago, you didn't go to North Danville. That was not a place to go to. Now, if you go up there on Friday, Saturday night, there's a lot of activity going on. There's people going to restaurants, theater, dance studios. And when you get that much activity,
There you go.
guess what
Each
happens?
one of you in a minute.
Guess what happens? People start going up there, and then people maybe cause trouble, go someplace else. They don't stick around. There's too much activity going on. And it's just great for the area. It really promotes the area.
Okay, Councilman Vogler.
And if I could just follow up on that real quick. One of the things that was mentioned when we had this session we went to about arts and entertainment and creative districts, that they mentioned that specifically for areas who've had issues with crime or have had perception issues over the year, that they were the perfect place to do things like this because it began to change the mindset and change the culture. And as Dr. Miller's mentioned, it's already starting to happen organically on its own. But I can remember, not way long ago, even just 5 years ago, the River District down here, people on Craighead Street, they'd say, oh my gosh, you're crazy. Why would you go down there? Now look what's happening down here. The same thing can happen in this area, but in its own unique way, not trying to replicate the River District.
Right, no, exactly.
But those same principles, I do believe very strongly in that. And so I think, there's the opportunity for a ripple effect, positive, not just with economic development, not just growing culturally, but also having a positive impact on some of the crime issues and perception issues that we've had. I think that this could help in that area also. But thank you again for coming tonight.
You're welcome. I might just say too, the 5 years, because I actually live in one of the apartments in the theater, so I've now live here full time. But in the 5 years, knock on wood, I've not had any vandalism, nothing to the theater or around me. So I've been very fortunate with that, and I've had none of my customers, have any problems either. So that's it. Any other questions?
Well, Mr. Allen, thank you. Appreciate you bringing this to us, and we will pursue it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, while he is passing that out, wish to speak on an item not on the agenda?
Thanks.
Hearing none, we'll move on to item A, the minutes. Consideration of approval of the minutes from regular council meeting held on September 20, 2016. What is your pleasure?
Motion.
Councilman Campbell made the motion. Councilman Buckner seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mayor Gilstrap?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Dr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks? Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye. The following budget items, items B through D, have been previously discussed by City Council and introduced for first reading and will be further considered by City Council in public hearing. After the public hearing has been closed, there will be no separate discussion on these items, and they will be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by a council member or a citizen, the items will be removed from the consent agenda process and considered separately. I open the public hearing on items B through D. Items B through D. Anyone wish to make comments in a public hearing? Hearing none, close the public hearings. Councilman, what is your pleasure? Councilman Whittle.
Mayor, I move the adoption of consent agenda items B through D.
Is there a second to the motion? Councilman Buckner. Any discussion on any of the items, consent items? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Gilstrap.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye. Under new business, A, consideration of approving resolution to authorize the city manager to apply for funding. Is there a motion? Councilman Vogler.
Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply to the Virginia Department of Transportation to obtain funding under the Virginia Transportation Enhancement Program.
Is there a second to the motion? Councilman Campbell. Any discussion on the motion? Please call the roll.
Mayor Gilstrap.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
Item B, consideration of adopting an ordinance to allow grant funds from the Department of Juvenile Justice. Is there a motion? Councilman Buckner.
Mayor, I motion that we approve an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2017 budget appropriation ordinance for a grant from the Department of the Juvenile Justice in the amount of $86,999 and a local share of $39,830 for the total for the total appropriation of $126,829 to provide for the electronic monitoring and outreach detention programs and contracted pro-social skills group for the city of Danville at the W.W. Moore Detention Home and appropriating the same. First reading.
Is there a second to the motion? Councilman Shanks. First reading. Item C, consideration of authorizing a resolution to file an application for a USDA loan and grant program. What is your pleasure? Councilman Buckner.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve a resolution authorizing and approving the filing of an application to the USDA Rural Economic Development Loan and Grant Program for a loan for the amount of $1 million for the River District Development LLC project.
Is there a second to the motion? Vice Mayor Jones. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Campbell.
I just want to make clear that we are the guarantors of the loan if it's a forfeit.
I'm sorry.
The city is a guarantor of the loan if it forfeits. That's why
correct.
we bring it before council.
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct. However, a $1 million letter of credit will be issued prior to disbursement. So if there is a default, we'll be able to go right to the bank and collect our $1 million.
But there's no risk for the city.
That's correct.
Right. We're guaranteeing, but we aren't taking a risk, in my understanding. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Gilstrap.
Aye. Item D, consideration of approving a resolution to authorize an increase in the power cost adjustment cap. What is your pleasure? Councilman Shanks.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to propose the adoption of an ordinance approving a resolution to authorize an increase in the power cost adjustment cap. And that approval would include the adjustment of the cap from $2 million to $4 million, extending the power cost adjustment recovery period deadline from December 31, 2018 to December 31, 2020, and authorizing a write-off of $4 million from the PCA account receivable.
Is there a second to the motion? Councilman Miller. discussion. We have a member in our audience that would like to discuss. Please come forward and state your name. Ms. Baines.
Thank you. My name is Sheila Baines, and thank you for allowing me time to ask you a couple questions on this. I just realized that this was coming up this evening because I missed the last meeting, but this is one of the most discussed issues that I hear from people living in the city, utilities. So after this meeting takes place, when people want to know what has transpired and what is going on, one of the first questions they're going to want to know about is how does this affect me? So I'd like to ask you, if this is passed, will it result in a rate increase for citizens? If so, how much?
I can answer that, but an answer to your question is no. It will not result in a rate increase. But our representative to the Utility Commission, Councilman Shanks, if you would like to speak to that, I'm sure you could explain it a lot better than I.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you. This is part of discussion during a follow-up to the motion, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Okay. I know a lot of citizens, I started hearing, oh, they're going up on the rates again. That's the first, I heard a lot of that when this agenda came out. And that is nowhere near the truth. This is actually action taken by the Utility Commission and City Council, who the action is, the end result is there, okay, the power cost adjustment. First of all, the balance has increased due to this polar vortex that we had in 2014, due to some other costs associated with providing power. And what typically happens when a utility provider has costs that occur during the year, there's a power cost adjustment, which is what we're talking about. The power cost adjustment is typically zeroed out every couple of years. That's when a rate increase would come in. In this case, the city is trying, one, to use funds out of the electric, unrestricted funds out of the electric fund to buy down that balance, which delays any cost to the citizens. We're also extending the period to pay it off, which delays any cost to the citizens. And we're increasing that balance, we're extending that. End result is this power cost adjustment balance would be included in next year's rate study, which would impact. And what we're doing is we're trying to push that balance recovery out further so that we will not have to force an increase in rates by the utility. So this is really, it's almost the opposite of having a rate increase. It's actually trying to put off any increases until we can reach a time when we're buying power at a lower rate, which is on the horizon. We have very expensive power blocks expiring in 2016 and 2017. So that's why we're trying to extend this balance out further and pay it off, because we expect to be able to take advantage of those lower rates. And when I say we, Danville Utilities, Danville Power and Light, when they take advantage of those lower rates, it is an advantage for all of us.
But haven't we in the past put off some increases in the hopes of doing things that would prevent the rates from going up? And that's what got us in some trouble to begin with. Are we going down that same path, hoping for another result?
No, what you're referring to is one of the big four issues that created this balance that we're trying to deal with. That was a bad decision. We had bad advice. And in that case, again, we sold the electricity cheaper than we bought it for years. And then the rate was supposed to, the profit was supposed to go up in the latter years, and it didn't. So that created this negative balance that we're trying to deal with. That was a poor decision. This in itself is trying to get to what we know are cheaper blocks, because the industry, natural gas is really inexpensive now. Solar with all the incentives the government has now, is fairly competitive. So the actions we're taking here are extending out into years where we can take advantage of those. See, right now we've got power we've contracted with and we have to buy. Some of those blocks expire in 2016 and 2017, where we can go out and buy cheaper power on the market. And that's what we're trying to push this payback to the PCA off until after that period, because we can then adjust the PCA through the normal process, which would be in a positive way than a negative way. Negative way would impact rates, positive way would help us prevent raising rates due to that balance.
Councilman Shanks, please help me here, but this power cost adjustment cap is a plus or minus
Yes.
2 million to a plus or minus 4 million. So it's not going to have any direct impact on our present utility bills.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is actually giving us time, because of the dates, but also because of the balances that we're raising too, that gives us time to get to these cheaper power purchases that we know are coming in the next couple of years.
It's possible that it might even, I won't go there.
You know what? I know where you're going. I think it's unrealistic for any one of us or any citizen to expect power costs will ever go down. The most important thing that we can work on is to decrease the rate of increase, because that's the way the industry,
Well, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Possibility are there
Right.
that this could help the utilities go down, our power costs go down. I won't say our bill, but our power costs could go down because of this.
But to sum this up, the three actions we're voting on tonight are all for the benefit of the ratepayers and the utility. There's no rate increase tied to that.
Okay, because like I said, that's one of the most complicated issues, and it's an issue that people, they understand that their bills just keep going up. So,
It's
to have
complicated
explanations,
for all of us,
yeah.
not just the city. It's I don't know about the rest of the council, but it's complicated for me to grasp. But I'm finally getting there, hopefully.
And Ms. Baines, let me assure you, the Utility Commission and Council is very, very aware of the issue with power rates, and we're doing everything we possibly can to keep those rate increases minimal and delay them as long as we can without making bad decisions.
And I'll be happy to tell people that you've said that and what the discussion has been tonight. So hopefully we can help people to understand a little more about what's going on, and then they'll hold you to what you say. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming forward on the item on the agenda. Is there any further discussion on item D? Dr. Miller.
Well, as I see it, we don't have much choice. If not, the rates will go up, right? Correct?
Yes. Yeah, this would, if we did not take this action, it would probably come up in the next rate study, which is coming up in January, due to be completed in January.
Well, that will guarantee a rate increase if we don't take this action.
That's right.
And hopefully down the road, if we get some power plants nearby and so forth, we'll be able to buy cheaper power.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mayor Gilstrap?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Communications, city manager.
I have nothing this evening, sir. Thank you.
Deputy city manager. City attorney.
As I promised some young gentlemen that I had the opportunity to be with Wednesday night, I am sporting my Gentleman by Choice tie. An extraordinary group of young men, and I certainly enjoyed being with them last Wednesday night.
Thank you. City clerk.
Nothing, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Saunders?
Nothing.
Mr. Shanks?
I have just one item this evening. I'd like to share with City Council and with the citizens of Danville. Galileo School has an event each year Their Roots and Shoots Club has an event each year, and all the students back the program, and the faculty and staff back the program. It's called Bead for Life, and this is their 10th annual Bead for Life party. And Bead for Life, the beads are little paper products that are rolled very tightly into beads and put on strings for necklaces and earrings and things like that. And they're very, very creative and very pretty. They're very hard, but it's a program that allows the Ugandan women to lift themselves out of poverty through sustainable income generation. Galileo, through the last 10 years, has provided, at no cost, 100% going to Uganda women. The Bead for Life, they've raised $25,000 over the last 9 years. And the next Bead for Life party is November the 2nd at Galileo from 3:15 until 6. It's an opportunity to do some early Christmas shopping, and it's for a very worthwhile cause. There is a website. I think I would encourage anyone interested in this. It's a very interesting program. It's called www.beadforlife.org. So that's all I have, but I'm really proud of this program and the success it has had over the last few years. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Vogler?
I want to start by, Mr. Clark mentioned the tie he has on tonight. October, as most of us are aware, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so tonight I'm wearing a pink tie and a light pink shirt in support of them, and just want to encourage folks to reach out and support those who are going through that or have gone through it. Each year, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This past weekend was a busy time in Danville and downtown and across the city. We had, of course, the River District Festival was Thursday. They had an event on Friday, and then all day and into the night Saturday, and also they added Sunday this year. Thursday was fantastic. My wife and I, we brought Kingston down. They had stuff all over downtown. I mean, they had music on the corners. They had food. They had crafts. They had artists. They had the Civil Rights exhibit was open again on Union Street, where folks could go by and check that out. And they had a special event going on during that time. Just a fantastic event throughout the weekend. The 5K, Glow with the Flow, Saturday, and just a fantastic time. Averitt also had their homecoming. Blair and I went to their homecoming dinner and an event Friday night that they had downtown. And GW had homecoming also. GW and Averitt both were very successful this weekend in their football game. And wish them luck the rest of the season. GW's got some big games coming up, including, if you want to mark it on your calendar, if you feel like making a road game, GW's got a big one against Magna Vista on November 4th, if I'm correct, Clark? It's going to be a big one. I would definitely be there and encourage folks to make the trip out there, and let's represent Danville, be loud and proud, and cheer our Eagles on, and we're going to bring that title home again this year. Moving on to a more serious note, I think maybe other council members following me are going to touch on this also, so I don't want to take too long on it, but we're all aware of some of the violent crime that's taken place in our city, and obviously very concerned about what is happening, and our police department, who is doing everything they can to try and find out who is involved in these actions. But this is a very serious problem that we have right now, and although you could say that the vast majority of these are not random occurrences. They are typically involved with people who know one another. It does not lessen the impact that it is having on our city. And so obviously we're very concerned about this, and we need to move forward trying to find solutions that can bring this under control. And I know that this is something obviously that we need to discuss at length this weekend at our retreat. But this is serious. Our citizens are concerned about this, and we are as well. We have a lot of positive things happening in Danville, a lot of new industries and businesses that are opening, and a lot of positive momentum across the board. But as long as we have this violent crime that seems to persist, and this year has spiked, it's going to hang over everything that we do. And so I look forward to the discussions that we're going to have in the weeks and months ahead. But we all know that we have to get this under control, and I just want to let the citizens know that we are taking this very seriously. I want to end on a positive note. we talk about ribbon cuttings, we talk about new businesses that are coming to our city, and of course in the months ahead we're going to have several more, and I'm really excited about that. And we all get excited about that, and we should. That's a great thing that happens in our city and happens in our region. But something else that I'm just as excited about is when you see a business that has been here for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, to me that's phenomenal. That is something that should be celebrated, and I just want to take a minute tonight to point one out. I was at Riverside Hardware today. Randy Stevens and his wife have owned and operated that business for 51 years. They have been in this city, and that is something to be celebrated. They are fantastic people. They've had employees that have worked there for over 30 years. And so I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge them and thank them for 51 years of business in our city, and wish them many, many more years of business. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Whittle?
Yeah, I'd like to make sure my mother can hear me. Television. I'd like to tell her you can go to bed now, Mama.
Mr. Buckner?
Yeah, I just want to second what Councilman Vogler said. The River District Festival was amazing this year. Great job by everybody who was there to help and volunteer and put that together. I'd also like to remind everybody to please take a moment to fill out the mainline trolley survey that we've got online. You can access it through the city's website. I think it's something that will benefit all the citizens of Danville and boost tourism as well. So other than that, I'm done. Thank you, guys.
Reverend Campbell?
Yes, real shortly, I agree with Councilman Vogler in reference to the violence that we're having in the community. And I just hope that the retreat that we could, as council, can come up with a way or something different that we can deal with this issue. And on my survey that I gave back to city manager, that's my top priority, that we can look at this very, very closely. There were some examples at the VML, some good things in other areas. Maybe we can look at that and try to have more information. But we have to do something. There's no longer trade. This is October, we're already off the chart. We got 2.5 months else to go, but we have to do something. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Gilstrap?
Yes, first, again, thank everyone for watching. And Tunsil students, you are so faithful. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. And I think you're a teacher. They should be recognizing our signatures by now, or else they think you get the same person to sign each time. Anyway, thank you for coming. Clark mentioned gentlemen by choice. I would like to say that Vice Mayor Jones, myself, and Chief Broadfoot had the opportunity to have a meeting with representatives from Gentlemen's by Choice and representatives from the ROTC program. And it was very good communication, and the kids they are top notch. They really are on top of it. Which brings me to the next point, Mr. Larkin, is Youth Council. Hopefully we got a report coming soon, and we can get an update exactly what their plans are for the year. It was mentioned to me today that we may want to look at expanding that to include representatives from Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers Big Sisters, or others, and also look at ways we can transport. I've heard that some of the kids would love to participate, but they do not have transportation to or from the meeting. So we may want to look at that. I'd like to mention that tonight was Habitat for Humanity's 25th anniversary, and they had a celebration tonight, and I think it's outstanding that they have started their 44th house, and to provide a decent housing for low-income our low-income residents. That's great. And my last item is that when you wear your pink, wear your purple, because I found out purple is for domestic violence. And at the GW game Friday night, the GW football players will have on purple socks. to give recognition to domestic violence. So go to the football game, cheer the Eagles. Tunstall, you can make it. Come to the GW football game and wear your purple and pink. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Jones.
One of the things that I hope we do discuss in our retreat is ways for conflict resolution. One of the issues in our community that has been discussed is that many of people do not know how to resolve some of the conflicts that they're having, which is an increase in all the violence that we're having. Just the last note is to our attorney. He was very mild, but he gave a wonderful speech to our young people on last Wednesday. He talked to them about leadership, and that's what we need more of. He became an honorary member of the Gentlemen by Choice, and has talked about servant leadership and servant leaders. Give your hands to serve and your hearts to love. Clark, you did a great job, and I appreciate that. And I'm happy that you were able to spend some time with my son, who's going to UVA and majoring in engineering. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Dr. Miller.
Well, thank you, Tunstall students, for coming once again. I took a survey, and it seems like we're more interesting than Pennsylvania County meetings, and we're on TV. So thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for mentioning Breast Cancer Month. I've had two sisters, mother-in-law, sister-in-law are cancer survivors, breast cancer survivors, and my wife's aunt died from breast cancer, so it is a very common female population. It's a terrible disease. The River District, great events has been mentioned, and thank you, Matthew, for not swinging back this weekend and hitting the East Coast again. And then just a word about the VML. Despite a hurricane, a sinkhole that washed out part of 58, leading to a 20-mile detour in North Carolina, a high water detour in Suffolk, which they detoured us into high water, and a power outage in our hotel. We had to find other hotels. It was a good meeting. We had 7 council members and 2 other city manager and deputy city manager there. We went to a lot of good round tables, Norfolk Jobs Cafe, the Arts District round table, Virginia Beach, and believe me, I don't think this is a waste of money or time for the city. We had council members that actually went around to different businesses and handed out cards and tried to, and literally got people to show interest in expanding their businesses to Danville. So we do a lot of interacting and networking with these cities, and we learn what they're doing right. Danville's image in the state is just, very much different from what it was, a far cry from what it was 5 years ago. Now everybody thinks things are going on in Danville, good things are going on, and they are. We didn't win any statewide awards this year. We've won about 3 in the last 2 years. But our city manager assures us that next year we're going to win at least 1 for a project that we're working on now. So it's a good meeting. It's valuable for the city. Thank you.